Hey besties!
Welcome to the first ever full episode of Dash of Pink podcast. I'm so excited. I am Danielle.
And I'm McKinley, and we are going to dive into Danielle's birth story for this first episode. So I'm not going to talk a whole ton, just intervene a little bit. We're going to give her the mic and let her just share all the nitty gritty details. You guys, I have heard nothing about this. Literally, it's been killing me.
We talk like every day, by the way.
Multiple times a day, and she won't give me any details. I knew how much she weighed. And that's basically it. I don't think I know the time. I knew ish. I kind of knew timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
But no.
Okay, so we're going to start forever back ago. Because my whole plan, even before I got pregnant, was to do natural birth. That was my ideal hope was I wanted to do natural. I wanted to experience that. Because also I've been so excited for labor my whole life. Because your body is made for that.
But I don't think people realize that.
No. And it's yes, it was a kind of a scary aspect, but again, I had thought about it my whole life. I've known about birth and labor since I was 8 years old, because my family's been very open about stuff, and I seriously appreciate that. But that's something that Ty and I, my husband Ty, we talked about all the time when we were trying for baby was what do we want? What do we, expectation, all that kind of stuff, because expectation could seriously ruin things for you, because if you are expecting something to happen and it doesn't go that way, it can mess you up. And so it was okay, well, what's our birth plan? What are we hoping for? And at first it was natural birth. We're going to do natural birth. There's no other option.
You were very set in stone in that?
Yeah, I was very set in stone.
Okay.
And then I kept thinking about it the further along we get, and I wasn't scared, but I was looking at all the options because I was well, what if I have to get an emergency C-section for whatever reason, because I've had friends that their birth plan doesn't go how they want, and it makes postpartum harder for them. And so I was okay, well, what if I have to do an emergency C-section? What if whatever. And my mom, whenever she had babies, her body wouldn't fully relax with an epidural,
Which
at
is
all.
So normal.
It is very normal. It's super normal.
I don't think people realize there's so many factors that go into birth that's not just your body sometimes won't react to certain things.
Yeah.
And it will react in different ways. So you have to be in that headspace of it can change.
Yeah. And also with first babies, it's your body knows what it's doing, but it's first time. So it doesn't really fully know. And so I was okay, step back, wait a little bit. What if I can't do natural labor? Not because of the pain, not because of whatever, but what if I can't? What if my body doesn't fully relax like my mom? And so we started talking about, okay, well, how about we just make our birth plan? Let's just have a baby. Let's just be happy and healthy and have a baby. Let's have that be our birth plan instead of saying 100% this is going to happen. And so for a while, we just said our hope is to do natural birth. And if that doesn't happen, great, whatever, we don't care. And so I think even before I got pregnant still, I went up to Ty and my mom separately. And I was hey, so when I do have a baby, I need you guys to be there for me if I can't do natural birth, because I might get to a point where I'm so head stuck on I'm gonna do natural that I'm miserable or literally suffering. Mm-hmm. And I'm I need you two to come in and say, you're not worthless if you get an epidural. You're not any less than because you got an epidural.
100%.
Because I didn't know if that mindset was gonna affect me. And so that was something we talked about forever ago, right? That's important.
It is important. It is key.
Right, that's very important. Anyway, skip to the part that I actually got pregnant, right? Again, we were hoping for natural labor. That was the hope. That was whatever. And then we went in for our 20, I think, not 20. I always want to say 20 weeks. Our 32-week appointment.
When they schedule the induction or start talking
when
about
they start
labor.
talking about it. We had, I think it was maybe 36 weeks because we had our ultrasound where they checked the weight and the stuff of the baby. So we went in, everything was great. We were super excited. Baby was super healthy before this point. Everything was great. And they did the ultrasound and it wasn't a huge deal. The baby looked great on the ultrasound, but the doctor came in afterward and was hey, so you have too much fluid. And they're this is not a huge deal. It's not really problematic right now, but it can be dangerous. So we actually can't let you go past a certain point. And at this appointment, they were saying that they wouldn't let me go past, I think, 38 weeks. 38 weeks was the early.
38.
Yeah, the latest. So at that point, we went from oh, we get to see our baby in a month or could be within a month to you can't go past 2 weeks.
Which is a lot. Like, when you drop from 2 weeks, that's half the time.
Right.
Most people, like, if they are going to go into labor naturally, you start thinking at 38 weeks, not that, I don't know, that's just such a timeline that is accelerated.
Yeah.
Okay, so leaving the doctor, how did you feel, and what were the conversations that you and Ty were having in the car ride home or that night?
Honestly, I think we left both in shock more than anything, and we didn't, like, I don't remember talking about anything other than just, like, we kept saying we get to meet our baby in 2 weeks. So it was really excited, but also I could tell that something was a little bit off, but I didn't.
With yourself?
Yeah, with myself, but I didn't pinpoint it until later. So we didn't really have conversations, but then a couple days later, I think like 1 or 2, I was just like irritated, and I was sad, and I was just kind of numb, and I didn't know why. But Ty and I have a system to where when something's off, I'll just go up to him and be like, something's off. Help me figure it out. And then I just figured out that my expectation of, oh, I want to go into natural labor, I want to do all these things, that kind of got squashed, because it went from, okay, I have 4 weeks to go into labor on my own, to you have like 2 weeks. And the chance of you going into labor on your own within these 2 weeks are very slim, because a lot of women don't even go into labor until they're like past 40 weeks.
I've never gone into labor on my own.
Oh yeah, you got induced.
Yeah,
every time, right?
All of them.
Yeah.
Like, my body just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So it's like, I all of a sudden went from, I'm going to go into natural labor and I'm going to try to do natural delivery, to, I don't even know if I can do natural labor. And like, again, maybe I'm weird, but I've like been so excited for labor my whole life. So excited. I wanted to feel what contractions were like. I wanted to feel what it was like to have your water break, even though not everyone's water breaks when they go into labor.
But even if you're expecting that and that's something you're wanting, it's almost like you were grieving like that experience.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't expecting that and you knew it was a possibility, it wasn't. There was now 2 weeks less time of you to be able to even hit those goals. Yeah. Not even that like hit the goals, but like to get your body to get ready, to get it. Yeah. It's just, you were like, okay, well now we only have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
Yeah. And then I struggled with it for a few days, and I grieved it for a few days, because I was so excited to meet my baby. I was so excited, but it was just kind of like, I've dreamt of this for so long. Like, throughout all of pregnancy, yes, I was like excited and looking forward to meet my baby, but I was so excited for labor.
Vroom, vroom.
We have like drag races that I swear happen up and down our street like 3 times a day, because we have neighbors that have like old cars and bikes, and so they'll like leave their house and it's so loud. Anyway,
so you hear it. Apologies.
anyway, so I was like really sad for a few days, and I told myself, okay, I'm just gonna be sad for today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be fine. I'm just gonna move on. But then I didn't give myself the grace of like really feeling it out, like all of it, and so it actually made it worse.
From an outside perspective, it almost felt like you were like, okay, now I have to make myself go into labor in 2 weeks. It was almost like, if you know Danielle, like, she's going to be like, I'm going to put myself into labor, which your body kind of has to decide when it's ready. Right. You can't force that too much, or else it's going to throw the whole sphere. Yeah.
So I went from, okay, I'm just going to let whatever happen, to, I'm going to try things every day to put me in labor. And it wasn't necessarily like I was expecting all of these things to put me in labor, which is kind of funny because I'm a daily vlogger. And so we had people on our vlogs all the time being like, oh my gosh, this is not going to put you into labor. This is da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, I was doing workouts or whatever. I'm like, I know, but these workouts are going to help once I'm in labor. Like, they're going to help get the baby down lower and like all of it. So I was doing these things to like put me in labor, finger quotes. But really, I was like, I also had the thought process of like, okay, if it doesn't put me in labor, it's going to help get me prepared. It's going to help prepare. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I did like pregnancy workouts once a day to 3 times a day. I started running with Ty.
I told her to start sprinting.
I did. I started sprinting. It was like maybe 2 house lengths, but like I sprinted. It was a sprint. It was a sprint. A pregnant lady sprinting down the road for 2 house. That's crazy. But like we went on like this massive staircase and went and hiked it. It was a whole thing. Me and my sister-in-law tried all of these like Starbucks labor inducing drinks and all kinds of things. And
so
then,
did you feel like anything was working though? Like in your mind, were you like, ooh, this is working? Or was it just like day after day you were waking up trying these things?
honestly, the workouts that I was doing, I could feel that it was getting the baby lower.
Okay.
So I'm not sure like 100%, but I guarantee you those helped me when I was in labor so much.
For sure.
Anyway, so then I had my next appointment at this point. We went in, they had to do another ultrasound to check the fluid levels again. And at this point, I thought I was leaking. I don't know. I don't know what it is still, but I thought I was leaking. And I think this was 37 weeks, right? Yeah, 37 weeks. So I go in, they do the ultrasound, they do all the things, and they're like, oh, your fluid levels are actually lower. And I was like, great, well, what does that mean? And they're like, okay, well, first off, your fluid levels last time you were in were like a 28 or something like that. And they get worried when you get to like 32. Like 32 is like, I'm pretty sure this is my...
We are not doctors.
We are not doctors. This is my memory, okay? This is my postpartum memory.
Pregnancy brain also.
Yes, pregnancy. Yeah. So I think, again, as far as I can remember, I think level 32 of fluid is like they send you to the hospital to get induced. Right then and there, you go to get induced. And I was at a level 28 last time we were in.
At 36 weeks.
At 36 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, 36 weeks. And so they were a lot more concerned than I thought they were. And that's why they're like, no stress tests. We're going to do ultrasounds every time you come back. And that's why they were telling me, just be prepared to get induced. And so the doctor was like, you're actually at a 22 now, I think, or a 24. So I had gone down quite a bit. And they were like, we're still concerned about it. You're still going to have to get induced, but it's not going to be past 29 weeks.
39.
39. Thank you. 39 or maybe 38. Maybe it was 39. I don't know. But they're like, you're still not going to be able to go full term. Which again, at this point, I'd kind of accepted I'm probably going to have to get induced. Let's be honest. I'm probably going to have to get induced. And so we scheduled the induction date. And then I was actually just excited at that point. Like I had kind of grieved the possibility that I could go into labor on my own.
But were you expecting to do natural labor as well? Like, were you going to get the Pitocin and go all the way natural without the epidural? Or were you planning on getting the epidural and going full...
So I, again, was just going to go with whatever happened.
Okay.
Because I've also heard that Pitocin contractions are a whole other world of contraction. And so I was just going to go with whatever. And so at this point, it was, I'm not going to go into labor on my own. And I'm probably not going to have a natural delivery. I mean, you're induced, so it's not really natural anyway because it's medicated. But whatever.
Medicated. That's the word.
Right. So... I, at that point, was more at peace with it, and I was still doing things to try to induce labor, I guess, but it was still mostly like, I was just keeping my body moving. I was keeping my mind distracted, and we were going on walks every day, Ty and I, and then the day before everything happened, I went on walks with my parents, and we were just talking, and my dad commented that he was like, you seem just like really, really calm for where you're at. And I was like, well, I've kind of just accepted everything at this point. I'm like, this baby's going to come, whether it's a day that we pick or a day that the baby picks, it's going to come, it's going to be here. I'm going to be a mom either way. If my baby's healthy, that's all that matters. Like, and at the end of the day, that's all I really cared about.
Because that is the most important thing.
Right, it is the most important thing.
Your expectations aside, when you know you're bringing a baby into this world, it's like, okay, I know I'm about to be a mom. As long as this baby gets here healthy and I'm healthy,
exactly,
that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
Especially when you've already changed your mind on, okay, now I'm not going to get this. You're kind of just accepted. Whatever's going to happen has happened. Let's be healthy.
Exactly. And so we finished that walk. I was really, really calm. And then we went home and I started cramping. And at this point, I was so frustrated with everyone because they kept telling me, you're going to know when you have contractions. You're just going to know. You're just going to know. I was having Braxton Hicks consistently for weeks. Okay? And at this point, I was already dilated to 1.5 centimeters. And you can't dilate unless you're contracting.
All the way faced, right?
No,
Wait?
I was 70% effaced.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't get all the way to a 10 unless you're all the way faced, right? Okay, that's what it is.
But you can't dilate unless you're contracting. And so I was like, I've been contracting. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know. And then I started having cramps, I called them that night, because I was like, this isn't contractions. This isn't hurt. It's just kind of crampy. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so I vlogged that night. I was like, hey, so I'm feeling a bit crampy. I'm not saying it's anything. I'm not saying it's anything because I don't want to wake up tomorrow and be like, it's nothing. And then go to sleep and whatever. So then I go to sleep. And then I wake up at like 6, maybe 5. No, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't sleep. I wasn't tired. I was just whatever. So I just laid there.
Were you in pain?
I was...
uncomfy, maybe?
Not really. I was just kind of like...
there.
Very small period cramps is what it was. Like very, very small. Okay. Again, not... weird. But I did send my mom a text that night and I was like, hey, just because she would text me every single night and be like, how are you doing? Anything different? And so I texted her and I was like, hey, I'm kind of crampy. It's probably nothing, but like, I'm just letting you know, because also I didn't know anything. And so I was expecting her to be like, you're fine.
You're good.
You stop overthinking it. Like, you're fine. Anyway, so I was laying in bed and I like started leaking, which here's the thing. I was leaking for days and everyone just kept telling me it's just discharge. It's just whatever. That's just normal. And I was like, okay, it's every time I lay down in bed and it's like not normal though. Like I was having to wear like panty liners or whatever. Not a big deal. It was
more fluid than like a normal discharge.
Right. It was
more of like a...
it was like watery. It was water. And so anyway, whatever. That morning I was kind of crampy laying in bed and I was leaking. And it wasn't like a gush, but it was just random. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I got up once to change my panty liners, go to the bathroom, and then I laid back down. And about an hour later, there was like a bigger gush. Not enough to like soak my bed or anything, but it was like, I had my hand kind of by like my stomach and my legs and like dripped onto my hand. And I looked at my hand and it was like water and it had a little bit of red in it. And I was like... obviously, first off, if you ever see any coloration when you go to the bathroom, anything when you're pregnant, it is the most terrifying
immediate thing. Panic. Like there's nothing else you can think besides worse.
No, it's like immediate panic. So I go to the bathroom and I'm trying to be calm because it's also like, oh, when you losing your mucus plug, you can bleed. When you go into labor, you can. So I was like trying to be calm.
Is Ty awake? Like, is he?
Ty was not awake. Ty was not awake. So I got up and go to the bathroom, and it's just like pink. It's not like bright red, but it's pink. Like there's definitely blood in it, and there's definitely fluid. And I was like, okay. So I probably lost my mucus plug. That's where my brain went. I was like, I probably just lost my mucus plug. Not a big deal. And so I was like, I should probably call my mom anyway. Because I lost my mucus plug like 4 times this pregnancy, by the way.
Well, you would literally like every 3 days be like, I think I lost more mucus plug.
Yes.
I lost my mucus plug. And I'm like, girl, this thing just keeps coming back.
And the thing was, it wasn't just me like overthinking it. I sent my mom pictures and she's like, that's a mucus plug. And I was like, well, this is the 3rd time I've seen it. So like, no, it's not.
But they don't tell you that like those things can regenerate. So like if you lose your mucus plug early, it can come back and you can lose it. Obviously 3 to 4
multiple times. I've lost it like 4 times. Anyway, so in my head, I was like, okay, I just lost my mucus plug. Not a big deal, but I'll FaceTime or I'll call my mom. So I went and I don't know if I started the vlog first or if I told Ty, but I just told Ty, I was like, hey, by the way, I'm just calling my mom. I gave him a quick rundown because I didn't want him to hear like blood and be like, oh, like panic, you know? So I was like, there's a little bit of blood and it's not a big deal. It's probably just my mucus plug. So I went and called my mom and I was talking to her. I was like, hey, I went to the bathroom. I felt a little bit of like discharge. I went and looked and it's a little bloody. And I was like, I kept my underwear with the panty liner on the ground. And I was like, hey, I can FaceTime you if you want to see what it looks like. I didn't flush the toilet after I went to the bathroom. I didn't throw it. I literally just washed my hands.
Danielle came with receipts.
I did. And she's like, yeah, FaceTime me. So I FaceTime her. Again, Ty is still in bed. He's still in bed.
Unconscious.
He's unconscious, still in bed. So I go and I show her and she just goes, well, it looks like your water broke. And I just go, what?
That's so exciting.
And I hear Ty like move in bed, like not much. And I just tell him, I'm like, hold on. Because obviously I'm a YouTuber, I have to grab the camera, right? So I grab the camera and I also go over so Ty can hear. And Ty goes, what? Because he's like delusionally tired. And I'm like, okay, say it again, Mom. And she's like, your water broke. And I was like, Okay. Well, what now? Because I was a little bit crampy, but it wasn't enough to be like, that's a contraction.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even enough in the beginning to track them.
Well, and it wasn't like I feel like when you hear water breaking, you think water breaking,
gushing.
not just like a little trace.
Right. Because when I stood up, it was nothing.
Only when you were laying down.
Only when I was laying down.
That's the weirdest part to me.
Right. That's the
Because
thing.
usually people are walking around the grocery store or something random. It was when you were laying.
It was when I was laying down.
Okay.
And so my mom's like, just get ready to go. I'll head over. Because I told my mom I want her to be there. Because she was basically my doula, right? So I was like, I want you to be there. Ty was okay with it. All the things. So she's like, I'll head over. You get ready to go. I'm like, okay. So I showered. I washed my hair. I took off my fake eyelashes and I redid them. And I just hung out. Like,
But were you having contractions? Like, could you feel a difference after your water broke? Or were you kind of just like, is this real? Like, did you question it at all?
I feel like I questioned a little bit, but I could tell the difference because it was just Braxton Hicks, but lower.
Oh, okay.
And it was crampy.
That's so interesting. I've never gone into labor on my own, so I have no idea. Mind you, I've had 3 children and have never experienced this. So I'm like,
Yeah.
What is happening?
So I'm in the shower, like it started to get more consistent after I got out of the shower. And so I'm doing my eyelashes. My parents come in and they're kind of just like watching me do my eyelashes.
Everyone's patiently waiting.
Seriously though, they're all standing in the bathroom as I'm doing my eyelashes. I'm like, okay, hi, what's going on? Whatever. And I just kept saying like, I just feel like everyone's pranking me. I just feel like this is a joke. This isn't real. This wasn't what I expected it to be. Right. So this was at 7 a.m. Oh, and before they came over, Ty called his mom and also called my sister Allie, who lives like 5 hours away.
So she's driving, right?
Yeah, she had to drive.
That's so
But
crazy.
when Ty called her, he's like, hey, we're like 90% sure Danielle's water broke. And Allie goes, well, what's the 10%? Like, what's the other 10%?
Allie just woke up. She's like,
yeah.
should I come?
So my parents are over at our house. Allie's heading to us, and I feel like my parents were just watching us, like watching me like I was gonna explode. Honestly, I
Waiting
wasn't
for the
uncomfortable.
breakdown.
Right, I wasn't uncomfortable or anything, but like Ty was expecting me to be like doubled over in pain. Like my parents were just like watching me, so I was like, okay, I'm fine. We went and made pancakes and just sat and ate breakfast. My dad was counting them, so like we'd be eating and I'd be like, I'm having another one. He'd like time it, okay. I'm having another one, okay, time it. And then throughout the day we would go on walks. We went on like 4 walks, I think. My siblings came over for a little while and we all hung out. We played card games for a long while.
Were you getting frustrated that it wasn't like faster, or were
No.
you just enjoying?
I was just enjoying it.
Okay.
I wasn't highly uncomfortable. Like I could definitely feel them, but I wasn't. I also have a very high pain tolerance. I can kind of like disconnect from pain if I'm not like overwhelmed by it. So it was like I was just hanging out. I wasn't overwhelmed by it because at this point I had already come up with the plan of, okay, so my water broke. We have to be at the hospital within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Because they want you to have the baby within a certain amount of time after your water breaks.
It's
So-
24 hours, isn't it?
24 hours. Yeah.
Okay. Which, if you go in at 12 hours, you only have 12 hours till that baby has to come out.
Right. And so it's like, okay, if I'm wanting to possibly do natural, I need at least 12 hours, you know? So we were like, okay, once 7 p.m. hits, we'll go into the hospital. So we're eating food, we're hanging out. Once 7 p.m. hits, we walked back from a park for my siblings to play at, walked back, we got everything ready, and we started driving to the hospital. And that's when I started having more heavier contractions, where it was just like, number one, driving in a car when you're having any contractions is the worst. Like, even if they're really mild, it is the worst.
Because there's nothing you can do. You're
There's nothing
stuck.
you
You
can do.
can't like
Every
reposition.
Yeah, and
Oh.
every bump messes with those muscles. Like,
Oh.
every bump. So it was like just highly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so they started getting more intense once we got in the car. I don't know if the car triggered it, like the car drive, but they started getting more intense. And then we got to the hospital, and we go in the room, and the lady's like, okay, what are you here for? I'm like, I'm in labor. Like,
Having a baby.
right. I'm like, I'm in labor. And they like kind of whatever, like, don't believe me. I kind of like, you could kind of see that it was like, okay, you're in labor.
Well,
sure.
I feel like they kind of have that notion when it's a young mom and like your first one. They're like,
Yeah,
are
and I was
you
super
in labor?
calm.
Yeah.
I wasn't like Again, I
Screaming?
wasn't crazy, like, contracting. I was just like, hey, I'm in labor. My water broke at 7 a.m. And they're like, okay, sure. So they pull me back in the room, like, we're just going to do a test that your water actually broke. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So they do a test. As I'm actively leaking, mind you. Like,
There's water coming out of me.
I know, I'm like, the pad under me is wet. Like, I am leaking. And they're like, we just have to do a test. But they checked, and they could still feel the water bag.
What?
So it was still bulging. So they're like...
That's so weird.
Yeah, so like, it didn't pop down low. So it might be like an up-high leak. And I was like, interesting. So they had to check the fluid because the bag was still there. They checked the fluid, and they're like, okay, your water is 100% broken, so it must have been an up-high leak. So that's why I wasn't leaking when I was walking, because the baby's head and that bag
Was, like,
would
stopping
block
it.
it. And when I
That's
was
crazy.
laying down, it was like relaxed enough that it could get out. So I wasn't leaking a ton, but I was leaking throughout the day. Like, every time I went to the bathroom, there was some. And when I sat in a certain position or, like, leaned a certain way. But not when I was up and walking, because the baby's head and that bulging bag was, like, clogging it, basically.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, we'll get you to your room. You're going to have your water fully broken. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And at this point, again, my contractions started picking up more to where it was like I had to, like, sit back and take a deep breath instead of, like, talking through it.
And you waited until 7 to
7
go back
p.m.
in. So you waited the full 12 hours at
The
home.
full 12 hours. And it was like, those 12 hours were amazing. Like,
That's
it was
so nice.
so fun, honestly, because I got to hang out with my family, and it was great.
Like a last hurrah before a baby.
Right. So it was like kind of sentimental too. Like, it was, my siblings were hugging me after, and like, we're not going to see you till you have a baby. And so it was really
That's so
special for
sweet.
me, because I love having my family around. I'm very family oriented. Like, I love having them around. And so it was kind of almost bittersweet leaving them all to go to the hospital. But it was me and time with my mom. So my mom was still there.
Well, it's almost interesting because you're the sister, and a lot of your attention can go to your little siblings and
Right,
to
right.
Neymar and to everyone else. And
Yeah.
now your your whole focus is going to be on this
Yeah.
baby. So
Yeah.
it was almost like you're realizing this is the last chance that I can give them my undivided
Right,
attention,
right.
and they'll give it back to you, because obviously when that baby comes, they're gonna want the baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I get to the hospital, they put me in the room, and, like, I started having, again, more consistent, more real contractions. And when they checked me in the room, they're like, hey, you're 3 centimeters dilated. So I'd only gone, in 12 hours of contracting, I had only gone from 1.5 to 3.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah, so it was like, okay. So we go in the room, and they're like, we're gonna have to put you on Pitocin because it's already been 12 hours. I'm like, I don't want to be on Pitocin, because again, I wanted to do natural. And I was like, I don't want to do Pitocin. And at this point, I started getting overstimulated. Like, overstimulated by, not the pain necessarily. I don't really know how to explain it. But I was getting, like, overstimulated. Like, my skin felt wrong. Like, everything was just wrong. And I was starting to get irritated.
Almost like everything was bugging you.
Yes, yeah.
Rather than you weren't enjoying laboring anymore. It was just
Exactly.
like, why?
Exactly. And that actually started giving me anxiety, because my whole thing with labor and everything was I wanted to step away and look at that as a good experience. And so the fact that I was starting to get irritated and, like, I didn't even
That'd be
really
hard.
want to talk to Ty. Like, he wasn't irritating me, but I didn't want to talk to him. Like, I wanted to hear him talk, but I didn't want to provide conversation. I didn't want to, and I was like, I don't like that, because I want to be here with him. This is, like, our moment. This is special with us. And so I started having anxiety. And
One thing you told me is you said, the main thing I want for my birth is to be present. Like, I want to be in the moment. I want to experience it with Ty rather than just be so alone.
Right.
And it's almost like you were, like, going inward rather than, like, and shutting down almost rather than being like, okay, this is good. Like,
Right. Right. And if you watch the birth vlog, you can kind of see before I got, like, the epidural and whatever, because I did get the epidural.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
You can kind of see that, like, I'm calm in some parts, but there are also other parts where I'm zoning out. I'm just, like, out of it. And I was talking to Ty the other night that, like, I just kind of felt not there. And I didn't like that. And so I started talking to Ty and my mom, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I just feel like I'm getting overwhelmed. And they're like, okay, let's talk about getting the epidural. You don't have to get it, but let's talk about, like,
What does that look like?
yeah,
Kind
it's
of.
like, are you going to be upset if you get it? Are you going to be upset if you don't get it? Because there is going to be a point to where you can't back out of it. I'm so grateful we had this conversation before the doctor came in to break my water, though, because they started me on Pitocin and broke my water at the same time.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Why did they do that?
So they came in, broke my water, which I was highly uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable with those things. I'm not uncomfortable by exams. I'm not uncomfortable by whatever. But the second I felt like that gush, I literally wanted to like, not cry, but it was wrong. Like I was so overstimulated. I was so out of it. I was frustrated. Like it felt bad. Like that's the best way I can describe it. Is it just like I was uncomfortable. I was grossed out, and I don't get grossed out by those things.
Well,
like,
it's a weird feeling because we're sitting in the bed.
Feeling, yeah.
I've had my water broken without the epidural twice now,
right.
and it's like it's just not a natural feeling at all.
No.
Because like at least with a contraction, you kind of know like that's supposed to happen when your water breaks. It's like, well, what was that? Like why?
It almost felt invasive of like where I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I kind of felt violated, even though I wasn't, but I was just because of the space I was in. And so they started me on Pitocin and I immediately felt it. So I went from like, they were like asking me, how's your pain when it was getting more intense? And I was like, it's maybe a 6 or 7. And I was having contractions about every 3 minutes to 2 minutes apart because normal contractions are about a minute long. Yeah. That's about it. And so I started going from minute long contractions that are 2 minutes apart to Pitocin contractions right after getting my water broken. So I was going minute contraction. Then I had 2 minute break, which was great I had a 15-minute long contraction.
You did not.
15-minute long contraction with a 20-second break in between.
You're lying. 15 minutes of just like tight.
It was like pulsating. So it was like it was trying to stop, but it would just go intense and then less
almost
intense.
Like a Charlie horse. Like how it's like, and you like relieve for a second and it's
right. So it was like
awful.
Intense and then less intense, but still a contraction.
That's
for
crazy.
15 minutes. It literally went from like 1 minute long, 3 minute long to 15 minutes. And then I had a 20-second break to another 10-minute long contraction.
That's crazy.
And I'm like rocking in the, like trying to just like keep calm, you know?
Well,
like,
you're probably just trying to like not get in your head so much and really almost have a breakdown when it goes. I can imagine for 15 minutes having to be like, when is this going to end?
Well, and I told Ty and I were talking about this maybe 2 nights ago because we were just like kind of reliving. We've been reliving that moment a lot lately, which I love actually. But because he told me, he's like, probably the scariest part for me of the whole labor was not like, oh, we're gonna have a baby, oh, whatever. He's like, it was seeing you after you got on Pitocin. Because he's like, I've never seen you like that. And it was different. It was not real. It was like, it was weird. And I told him, I was like, the weirdest part about that was all there was the pain. I wasn't in the room anymore. I wasn't me anymore. I wasn't thinking anymore. I wasn't communicating. It was almost like I was put in an entirely different space and nothing else was happening except that pain. And it was just so overwhelming and so much. And so it was a lot. It was probably half an hour to an hour between them breaking my water, putting me on Pitocin until the anesthesiologist came in to give me the epidural.
What was that time? Like, because you went in at 7. So what time did you get the epidural?
I think I got the epidural at 11:30 or 12.
That's a long time to sit in contractions and just kind of be paused. Because now you only have 6.5 hours till that baby has to
until
come
it
out.
has to come out. So they were up in my Pitocin. They were doing all those things. And again, it was just consistent contraction. And I wasn't forming thoughts. I wasn't whatever. It was just, I have to get through this contraction. And then that contraction of, it's just supposed to be a minute long, went from, why isn't it a minute long? What's going on? And like, that was the only thing that was happening. And then finally they came in and gave me the epidural. And that was honestly, even though it was so painful, that was probably one of my favorite parts because Ty got to hold me.
Yeah.
When he was giving me the epidural.
Actually, wait, he got to hold you?
So I had the pillow and then Ty got to hold me in the front.
Did he have to sit down?
No.
Okay, that's crazy. Every single time with my 3 epidurals, they make Riley sit, like he can sit in a chair, but he has to be sitting so that he doesn't pass out. So like I would have to hold a pillow, except for one time I think I got it in a different position. I can't remember exactly, but 2 of them I was hunched over a pillow like that. Yeah. But I love that he was able to hold you. That's sweet.
Yeah, so I was hunched over a pillow, but he got to hold me, and that was so intimate to me. Like I was in so much pain, and he was kind of vulnerable because he just kept saying like, the male contribution is like ridiculous. And I could tell he kind of, I don't know if I wanted to say like felt bad, but it was getting to him that it was like
empathizing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just here. I can't help you. Like, I could rub your back until you're doing great, but I can't take this from you. I honestly don't know how Ty would have done if I didn't get the epidural and kept Pitocin contracting the whole time. So it's like, I'm almost relieved for not his sake, but like,
well, almost his experience as well, because he also is watching his wife bring this baby into the world, and he's worried about the baby's safety and his wife's safety, and he's watching you in pain. There's nothing he can do besides just support you. Yeah. And in that moment, he wanted to give you the birth that you wanted. That was probably hard for him to be like, I need to give up being scared for her in order for her to have the birth. So that was really great,
sweet. Mind you. He did fantastic.
Ty did
but
so good.
That was such an intimate thing of like, I was getting that. I was in a super vulnerable place, and he got to be the one who was there for me. Anyway, so I got the epidural, and it did not work in the beginning. Like, I felt it, but it was just like my legs were tingly, but I was still contracting. And I told the nurse, I was like, hey, I'm still feeling it, but now I'm nauseated. No, I was nauseated before. I was contracting and thinking I was going to puke, but I was still nauseated, and that was like kind of amplified. So I was confident I was going to throw up. And so I was like, it's not working. And she's like, okay, well, you have this button. Don't press it. Like, we don't want you to press it for at least half an hour. And I was like, okay.
What?
Whatever. So they gave me the first dose, and then they wanted me to wait. And I like, just try to rest. And they had me kind of on my side because, did you know an epidural works with gravity?
No.
It works with gravity. So
wait,
like,
how does that work?
I don't.
The medicine just.
It literally just like settles in one side. So I don't know if they ever did this with you, but they like position you to where you're kind of on a pillow and on your side.
Did you use the peanut ball? Mm-mm. I loved the peanut ball.
I should have asked for it.
You should have asked
for
the peanut ball.
If I had more time, I would have. But so it's like they position you and they tell you if like you can start going numb on just that one side, and that's why they keep flopping you back and forth.
Because I didn't know that's because of gravity.
Yeah, it's literally because of gravity. It's insane. Anyway,
something new every day.
So I was like, I could still feel it. And so finally I was able to press the button again. And I think I pressed it twice. And then I was finally like, okay, I can still feel that I'm contracting, but it's not pain. And I was like, okay, at this point it was...
Because a lot of times when you get the epidural, you almost can just feel pressure, but it's not hurting, but you can tell like something's happening here.
Yes.
Or something's happening here. So you can like notice a difference in where the pressure is, but you don't know if it's hurting or what it exactly is.
Right. So at this point, it's probably 12:30, 12:40-ish. I'm not exactly sure, but I was feeling good. They're like, okay, great, try to rest. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to take a long time. I'm going to try to take a nap. So I'm trying to take a nap. My mom fell asleep, and Ty waited until my mom was asleep, and I was almost asleep till he was like, okay, now I can rest. Like, they're okay. Everything's fine. I can rest. The second he closed his eyes, the nurse comes in. It's like, hey, we're going to check you really quick. So she comes in and checks me, and she's like, oh, you're ready. And which, mind you, before I got the epidural, or before they put me on, before I got the epidural, I was at a 5. So that was with Pitocin contractions. This was maybe an hour later of getting the epidural. I was all the way. All the way. And they're like, hey, that's so the baby's right there. And so she's like, I'm going to go let the doctor know really quick. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to practice pushing. And I was like, again, I thought it was going to take hours and hours. It was maybe an hour.
Danielle wanted her nap.
Right. I was like, what? I'm not going to be able to sleep for the rest of my life. This is supposed to be the last nap I get. Like,
seriously.
Come on.
So what did you feel? Like when she was like, the baby is here, like it's time. What was the immediate emotion for you?
It was excitement. I did not have a lot of anxiety except for the part where I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like before I got the epidural. That's the most anxiety I had. After that point, it was kind of like,
oh, that's so
holy
cute.
Cow. Like this is happening. This is real. This is happening. And so she comes in, she checks, whatever, goes to get the doctor. And then she comes back at like 1 a.m. probably.
That is quick.
Wait, it was like 1:30. I can't remember the exact timeline.
Details don't matter that much.
She comes in and she's like, hey, let's practice pushing. So we get in position, whatever, and we practice pushing like twice. And she's like, great, don't move. I'm like,
You're like, what do you mean?
okay.
Don't move.
And then she goes to get the doctor. He puts his gloves on and everything. So I had pushed, I think we figured out all together. I pushed.
Did they do practice pushes with you?
Yeah, like 2.
Yeah.
That's all.
And they're like, kid, this is what you're gonna do, but don't actually push. Because if the baby's there, they're like, don't really push.
Oh,
but
they
this is
had
what
me
they're gonna
actually
do.
push.
Did
They had
they
me
really?
actually push, yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's because the doctor was right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes in, he gets all ready. He's like, okay, great, let's have this baby. I pushed for 15 minutes altogether.
No. For your first baby?
15 minutes altogether.
Danielle, I pushed for 2.5 hours
Seriously?
with Nixon. 2.5 hours.
I
Given he
pushed
has
for
a big ol'
15
noggin.
minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. And she was like, that was from the time the nurse came in
That's
until
crazy.
she came out. So there was breaks in between of me not pushing.
But still, 15 minutes only of pushing. Well, either way, you
Yeah.
can't constantly push for 15 minutes. That's just like
Right.
the timeline. Because
Yeah.
you kind of don't usually like 10 seconds
Yeah,
pushing and then you like
seconds.
breathe. Because you have to time it with your contractions
Yeah.
in order for the baby to like actually drop.
Right. And I think I could go back on the clip and figure out exactly how many times Ty and I figured it out. I think I pushed like less than 15 times also.
That is crazy.
Right. And so
Superstar.
thank you. Thanks. But we're going and like my mom was like, not her, because she didn't know yet. She's like, the baby's hair is already birthed. Like there was like a shark fin or whatever she kept saying. Anyway.
I heard that in the vlog.
Yeah.
I see the hair.
I see the hair.
The hair is birthed.
Right. Anyway, and so I start pushing and it was so fast. It was so fast. And we didn't know the gender at this point. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, does dad want to announce?
Yes.
And he was like, yeah, I want to announce. But they kind of got in his head a little bit because they're like, okay, don't get the umbilical cord mixed up with anything.
No.
And so he was like, okay. And so
So I was
they
like, oh, no.
pulled the baby out. And then they're like, okay, dad, what is it? And I can't see, like,
Yeah.
they're covering. And Ty was like, it's...
He stutters.
And I'm like, say it! What is it?
What is my baby?
What is it? And then he was like, it's a girl. And I was like, there's no way. Because I thought it
chills.
was a girl the whole pregnancy.
I thought it was a girl for you.
But I wasn't like, obviously I wasn't confident, but like, I didn't have like a gut, like, it's this, you know?
You weren't 100%. This
I wasn't
baby is a girl.
100%. And it was so surreal because in my family, we haven't had a baby girl since Lizzie.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there hasn't been a baby
Because you have
girl.
Az, Canyon, and then Neymar.
And Neymar.
That's crazy.
So it was like, I didn't
Aw.
know what to do. It was like, holy cow, there's a baby girl on my chest right now.
Okay,
like,
wait. Quick backup. What was the feeling giving birth? Like, as you were pushing and as you were giving birth, like, what was going through your mind when you felt, like, did you feel so close? Like,
yeah.
like, what were you feeling as you were pushing?
So first off, physically, I could feel everything. I
What?
could feel everything.
Did it hurt, though?
It was without pain.
That's, Kate, that's
was like
how
the-
my girls were, but not with Nixon.
Really?
Yes, so Nixon, I couldn't feel what, like, I couldn't figure out how to push because I couldn't figure out what I was feeling. But with my girls, I could feel everything. So I knew, like, at which part of birth I was at.
Yeah.
But it could have been because I was my second and third. That's crazy
Maybe.
that you felt so much.
But yeah, so it's like the best way I could describe it was like when your leg falls asleep, but when you touch it, you can still 100% feel
Yeah.
it. But there's just not that connection of this is my leg and this is my hand touching my leg.
So there's no pain, but you knew what was
I
happening.
knew exactly what was
That's
happening.
so beautiful.
So I could feel like everything. And I think it was moving so fast that like I couldn't quite process like mentally what was going on. And so it was like the only thing that I kept thinking was like it's almost here, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost here.
Yeah.
And I was just excited. Like I was excited. I was overwhelmed, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't bad overwhelmed, but it was like this is
It's
happening.
an overwhelming joy almost because you're like,
Yeah.
this baby is coming into this world.
Yeah.
I'm literally going to cry.
But don't because I'm gonna cry.
No, okay.
Anyway, and so it was just like I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to think. And so that was probably, in all honesty, the most quiet my brain has been in my entire life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But like peaceful quiet.
Yeah.
Like it was, I'm pretty confident I have ADHD, by the way. I'm not diagnosed.
Self-diagnosed.
I'm not diagnosed. My brain is always loud. There's always stuff going on. And that was the most quiet, like, I'm here. I'm
that's
living right now, that's all I wanted. And there was nothing else going on. Like, it was, don't cry.
I'm not
You made me
crying.
cry.
I'm good.
You made me
I'm
cry.
golden.
But it was just like, nothing else mattered except right there, you know?
It's so beautiful that you were able to be present after almost not chaos, but almost just feeling so not present.
Right.
It's so beautiful that you got
gone.
to be able to have that
Yeah.
moment of, okay, I'm here with my baby and I'm doing this. Like, I am giving birth to my baby.
Exactly. Because that's
so
the thing is, when I was like on Pitocin, I told Ty this the other day, I was like, when I got the contraction, the epidural, I literally sat back and for the first time looked around the room and was like, wow, I'm in a room. Like I didn't even know the room I was in before. And then when I was actively giving birth, it was like, I could tell you everything. Like, because it was just right there. I was just there.
I love that. That's so special.
Yeah. And it was like, there were some crazy things like when she came out, and everything came out of me. It splashed all over the ground.
No.
It got on my mom's shoes.
Shut up.
All over the doctor. Like, soaked on the doctor.
No.
And he's, like, apologizing to my mom because it got on her shoes. He thought it splashed more
Your mom's
on her
like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, she's like, it's fine. It's fine. And so, it was crazy. It was seriously... It was crazy.
So
like
when Ty says it's a girl, what was that in your mind? Because you just had gotten to that point where you just delivered a baby. You were so in the moment. What were you feeling when he said it's a girl?
Genuinely, this is gonna sound weird, everything fell apart. Like, I fell apart. Like, not in a negative way. It was like everything that I knew before, everything that I was before was gone. And it was like she's on me, Ty's next to me. He's looking at his daughter. I'm looking at my daughter. Like, holy cow, I'm gonna cry. Like, it's just sitting there holding her and being like, this is our daughter.
We made this. Like, we brought this sweet baby into this world, and she's mine.
Yeah, and seeing, like, the joy on Ty's face. Again, Ty is a very middle ground. He's a very, like... He shows emotion, but it's kind of just like the same emotion all the time. But seeing just how happy he was looking at our baby, like, that was insane. And again, it's hard to like recall what was going on in my mind because everything was so quiet. Everything was so quiet because it was just, she's here. She's with me. He's with me. My mom, it was great. It was like everything fell apart and everything was put together.
Well, it almost like your old life fell apart and you became this whole new woman.
Right. Like, I suddenly...
You are a mother.
Yeah. It's like I stepped away from the hospital knowing all the things my parents felt, like, raising me. Feeling a kind of guilt for what I've put my parents through. Like, looking at this baby and being like, holy cow, they love me as much as I love her. And I put them through so much. Like, I can't imagine how heartbreaking it was to, like... go through the arguments that me and my parents did. Like, these are literally things that I thought about leaving the hospital, looking at her and being like, what am I, like, she's gonna get old. I have to, like, and so much all at once that it's hard to explain, but it just changes you.
Your baby, you're like, you almost not envision your life, but you're like, look at everything I've experienced from almost your parents' perspective. Now you get to be the parent, and you're like, oh, my daughter's going to do all of these things. Not expecting it, but saying, this is the life that I get to have, but watch through her eyes. Yeah. It's so crazy and beautiful, and it's so much emotion. It is.
It's like an overwhelming amount that it's so much, and also, it's so complex, but also so simple all at once. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And the days after, I told Ty, I'm like, I feel like every life step I make, I always say I've never been this happy. Like, when me and Ty started dating, I've never been this happy before. When me and Ty got married, I've never been this happy before. When we got pregnant, I've never been this happy before. But then Hayden came along, and it's like, holy cow, I have Ty, I have my baby. I have never been this happy before, ever. Yeah. And it wasn't like well, I'm happy because this happened, and if this happens, then I'm not gonna be happy. It's like, no, I'm just happy. Like, I told we call him my adopted grandpa. He's an old family friend that we adopted as family. I told him, I was like, I feel like I found a piece of myself that's been missing my whole life. And it's like, I didn't know that I was missing it until I was whole. That's what I feel like.
Well, that's so beautiful and so powerful. It's almost like it's not that you were unhappy in your life. It's you almost unlocked a new level in your life, and your love grew. Like, you just became more.
Exactly. It's just, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I always knew that was something I was made for, but actually becoming that, it was such a divine thing, honestly, because I felt this is what you're supposed to be doing. I felt this is, it was such a strong, this is who I am. This is what I've been looking forward to. And no, I'm not, permanently complete. It's not, I'm complete. It's, this made me complete for what I'm supposed to be right now.
Well, it's almost like you've reached that next goal.
Exactly.
You've reached that next level in the life that you've wanted. You've always wanted to give birth.
Exactly.
You've always wanted to be a mother. And now you've entered a whole new phase. Because yes, you and Ty getting married is a new phase. That's a whole different life change.
100%.
But it's a different story when you add in a child that you now will raise for the next 18 years, but you're never going to stop being their mother. This is a lifelong
100%.
commitment.
Yeah, I will 100% have that always. 100% always. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's everything that I've felt with having a baby, and it's so unexplainable, the different things you go through and the different feelings you start to feel, because it's so complex. Again, it's so complex and so simple.
But it's different in every, even my experience first years, we have the same feelings, we have the same thoughts, but it's, no one knows exactly how that's going to change your life and affect your everyday today.
Exactly.
Because you are now so responsible for baby. This baby is your world. Let's back up. Will you give us, how big was she? Time, all of the details. Because we know how you feel. Give us the details. Tell us about the hospital. Tell us, how was it having your dad meet the baby? Having Ty's parents meet the baby and your siblings? Because you just left this space of, okay, I'm going to be a mom now. Now you're introducing your siblings to your baby.
Okay, so she was born at 1:57 in the morning, which is crazy because Savannah guessed that I was going to have a girl at 2 a.m.
Shut up.
2 a.m.
No, she was 3 minutes
3 minutes off. It was insane. So
Savannah.
And then she was 7 pounds, 4 ounces, I believe.
Oh, she's so tiny. Little baby. What is her name?
Hayden Barbara. Her middle name is after my adopted grandma. Again, the family friend that we kind of just claimed as my grandma.
I love that.
And so that night we were in a labor and delivery room still, which they have kind of not really any visiting hours in the labor delivery room. They kind of just let whatever happen.
Free reign.
Exactly. Because it's you don't know when baby's going to be born. The hospital staff was amazing because they let us stay in that room until we were 100% ready to leave. So we were let's just have people come and meet the baby. We can't
so
wait.
Nice.
Because my mom was there and she's like, can dad come and meet the baby? And I was like, 100%. So he came in, and that is probably going to be one of my favorite memories until the day I die, because it's there's something surreal about your dad meeting your child.
Oh, for sure.
And his reaction coming in. Again, my dad's not a super emotional person. He was crying that whole day.
Oh, that's so cute.
The whole day.
That's so sweet.
And just the pure excitement on his face when he walked in was oh my gosh. Just because I had, not just because, but because I had a baby.
Yes.
And
wait, I'm interrupting. So did you tell your siblings it's a girl, or were you keeping that a secret until they came in? Did your dad know?
We kept a secret until they came in.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
My dad and Allie came in, and they, again, you can see this on the birth vlog, but they came in and they were okay, what is it? And I was like, guess. And I think they both guessed girl. And when I told them it was a girl, they both just broke down. Allie started sobbing, and it was the sweetest thing.
Your birth vlog is so special. You're gonna love those memories forever. You have so many intimate snippets of the most perfect moments.
And the fact that Hayden can look back on that one day and just see how loved she was from day one.
Before she even came into the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm that's so special. That's so special. But, so my dad got to see the baby, and so did Allie. And they were okay, so the kids, are they coming over tomorrow? What do you, we don't want to overwhelm you. And I was honestly I want to share this right now.
Yeah.
I'm excited right now. I didn't want to tell everyone, but I wanted to tell special, close people, you know.
100%. Mind you, it's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. The kids are asleep at home. The kids were asleep.
It's not midday.
No.
2 a.m.
No, it's 2 a.m.
That's my favorite part of the vlog, when everyone's running.
Right. And so my dad calls Savannah, who actually wasn't asleep. Okay, sorry, I'm just making sure. Savannah was not asleep. And he's like, hey, wake up Az and Canyon, come and see the baby. So she woke up the boys to come and see the baby. And that was the coolest thing. Like, my siblings coming in, it's so sweet. If you go and watch the birth vlog, it's on Traveler Rights.
It's so sweet.
When they came in, again, Savannah and Lizzie bawling. Az is so excited. But if you watch Canyon's face, I don't know if you saw that.
So tender.
He was trying his hardest not to cry.
It's almost, he was trying to hold his emotion, so you couldn't, if you don't know Canyon all the time, you don't know exactly what he's feeling, but you can tell he's holding in something.
And I don't know, just the way that everyone was like, they were already emotional when they came in, but when they heard that she was a girl, the way everyone just like broke down, and it was like, it was so healing.
It just made sense. How. It was like, you said it's a girl, the girls lost it, and Canyon and Az was like, I was the only one that gets boy.
Right. It was just like, it was so healing. Again, it was something I was missing, I feel like. I was just missing that. I don't know how to explain it. And then Ty's family coming in, and I think only Ty's mom and brother came in that night because everyone else was asleep, and they had like early stuff in the morning. So they came in, and they don't have grandkids. Like, this was their first. And that was so such special. A cool, like, I'm giving this to you. Like, we're giving this to you. Like, you don't have this.
Almost the beginning of an era for his mom. Like, this is your first grandbaby.
Exactly.
Like, meet Hayden. Here she is. That would be so emotional to, like, for her, she's entering a whole new phase of her life as well. Like, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And you kind of aided in that. Because that's your baby.
Yeah. And so sharing her with people was such an amazing thing. And like, selfishly, I didn't want to tell anybody else. Like, I was like, I have my people. I have my specific people that I want to tell. I told McKinley that morning.
No. Side note, Danielle goes ghost silent. Silent. I hear nothing. All of a sudden, I get a Marco Polo, and I can tell she's in... We might need to pull that. We might need to. I can tell she's in a bed, and she's like, making like a silly face, and she goes, what do you think baby traveler is? And I was like, what? Literally was freaking out. And my guess had been girl the whole time. The whole time. I had not strayed. I said boy.
Last minute
I changed it to boy, and I literally started crying. Which is like, I have a baby. I was bawling, and then I like had to pull it together. Oh, I was just so proud of her because she's wanted this forever. If you know Danielle, she has wanted to be a mother. And when you're also a mom and you know how much joy you're about to get through life, is it the hardest, most fulfilling job in the world? Yes, but it's so beautiful, and it's so exciting to watch you enter that phase. Because we can do it together today.
I know! It's, oh my gosh. And this is like moving forward past like those experiences and stuff. Ty and I were talking again the other night. This was like a whole conversation, and we were talking about how the world, this is one of the biggest reasons why we want to have this podcast, is because there are so many things of womanhood, of like everything that the world makes nasty, the world makes ugly, the world makes scary,
that you shouldn't show because it's taboo. And it's not, for some reason, the most feminine parts of womanhood have been made gross and like shameful, when without them we wouldn't be here.
And so we were talking about how the world labels the first few weeks of that baby's life as the newborn trenches. And yes, they are so hard. And yes, Ty and I have an entirely different experience than a lot of people because we both work from home. We both get to experience this together. And so that's beautiful. Not something a lot of people get to experience. And we are beyond grateful, and we don't understand what we did in like a whole universe type term. We don't know what we did to deserve that. But we get to spend that time together, and we were talking about how we don't personally understand how this can be called. My baby's crying in the background, you can probably hear her. We don't get how this is called the newborn trenches. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's so hard waking up every 2 to 3 hours or 40 minutes or whatever. Yes, it's so hard having to figure out why the heck your baby's crying. It's so hard. But the hardest part for me is I cry every night when I put her in her bed. I cry. It's going to make me cry. I cry every night when I put her in her bed because I know that tomorrow she's going to be a day older. And I don't want to leave this part right now because it's such a magical experience between me and Ty that we get to sit so tired in our beds
And just hold her.
And just hold her. And just reminisce, and just be together and know that this is our family. Like, we started a family. And we're going to be together forever. And, like, we get to spend the rest of our lives showing her how much she means to us. And how much she matters. And how loved she is. And how loved, when she has siblings, how loved they are. Like, that's such a beautiful thing to look at as the beginning.
100%. Well, and you don't realize that those newborn moments, they are looked at as awful. And you're tired. And no one loves them. It was newborn bliss for me. I love it. Nothing more than just having your baby and just being able to really remember what life's all about. Because in those moments, you are really just with your husband, figuring out how to make this baby fit into your family, how to do life all together. Because they have a personality you have to get to know.
Right.
And it's you guys against the whole world. It's 2:30 in the morning. This baby's crying and you look at each other so sleep deprived and you're like, we did this. Right. We get to figure it out. We get to conquer this. And it's so beautiful. And it's a lifetime of figuring things out. Is what you realize when you have a newborn. Is you're like, we're in this. Like, we get this for the whole world.
Yeah. Having a newborn kind of forces you to be as present as you possibly can.
100%.
And if you can be, I will say this a lot, if you can be intentional about being present, about spending that time with your spouse, about spending that time with that baby, of knowing maybe they're not going to remember it, but there is something chemically that is going to happen by me intentionally spending time with this baby. Like, it's going to know without a doubt that I love it, starting from the second that it can even form a thought. Like, because you're spending that time with them, because you're being intentional, because you're being there. Like, yes, it's so hard. But if you really think about the fact that you can't grow without pain, you can't grow without being uncomfortable, you can't grow without that hard. And you look at all of this as growth, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, it's almost getting you to the next level. There's no growth without pain. There's no growth without uncomfortable. If you always live your life uncomfortable, you're never going to change into a better person that you could be.
Exactly.
You never know. That's why it's always best to take the newborn trenches with intentional. Like, we are going to put our best foot forward. We're going to love on this baby. We're going to be positive. And that's one thing that, I mean, not about the podcast, but it is, we want people to be and understand, like, we're being intentional about this podcast because we want you to feel the same things that we are trying to get out of our lives. And we want to be intentional in the words that we're saying and what we're sharing. Not saying you guys should do the same things as us, but let's do this together. And I don't know, it's motherhood feels so lonely, especially in newborn trenches. Have you felt like you're stuck? Not stuck, but like alone in a way, which it's so different because you also have Mara that is very pregnant in the same timeline, and it's very, you guys are in it together. But is there some part that's like people just don't get it? That
was in pregnancy. It would have been super, me and Mara talked about this a lot. It would have been so isolating, I feel, to be pregnant on my own the first time. And I guarantee this is for most pregnant women, so I don't quite understand this yet. Because I had someone that I can go and say, hey, like, you're in this with me right now. Because the most frustrating thing for me when I was pregnant was hearing someone say, I was there, I understand. But then 2 seconds later, they'll turn around and say, once you have that baby, you'll forget all about pregnancy. And it's like, well, which is it? Like, do you understand and remember, or do you forget? Like, because that's invalidating either way. I feel invalidated either way. But then I could go and talk to Mara, and it was like, no, I get it. That is a lot. It is a lot just to get out of bed in the morning. It is a lot to be present. It is a lot. And so it was isolating, and it was lonely at some points, but not super, because I had Mara.
That's so beautiful.
And like right now, I feel stuck with some things, but not like a negative way. It's just kind of like, okay, how do I figure out like how to move forward in my own life while also being a mom and taking care of this little thing that can't take care of itself. So it's less like trapped and more, okay, how do I do this? Almost readjusting your life, because you're not the type of person that's just going to be sitting and not doing anything, because that's not Danielle. No. Danielle's always wanting to do something. It's how can I be the best mother and also be the best version of Danielle? Right? Yeah. Am I just putting words in your mouth? No, yeah, it's true. Like, I I place my value off of how much I accomplish in a day, which is very dangerous. It's if you guys also do this, like, work with me here in bettering ourselves to not do that. Because you get to the end of the day and it's like, oh, I didn't clean enough of my house. Or, oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough. And it's like, you existed today. That's good enough, you know? And that is a dangerous mindset to have if you are postpartum with a newborn baby, because you don't do much in the first little while other than wake up and feed the baby and eat food and feed the baby. Like,
and maybe sleep a little in between.
And maybe sleep. It's literally, that's all you can do. Like, you're recovering. And so having that mindset of, oh, well, I'm not doing enough. I'm not, you know, I don't know. I would be in a lot worse of a space, I think, if I didn't. Whoa, my voice just flickered.
Spooky.
I don't know why. Anyway, I would not be in the space that I am if I didn't have Ty. Yeah. Honestly. And again, we are so beyond lucky to be in the position we are, where he's home all the time with me and he can help out and he can be there and say, hey, you're doing great. You're doing amazing. You're existing. You're doing so good. And
he's supporting you through it.
Yeah. And that's a big deal, is I have so much support.
100%. Well, I have a couple questions before we wrap it up. First of all, if there's one thing that you had to tell anyone either wanting to get pregnant or that is close to having a baby, what would be your biggest advice going into birth?
My biggest thing?
Your biggest piece of advice to someone going into birth.
It is not as scary as the world makes it out to be. Yes, it's different because you've never done it before. And there's pain behind it. And everything is about to change. But your body knows what it's doing. And that doesn't just stop when you give birth. Your body still knows what it's doing. And you know how to take care of the baby. And it's a scary change. But the thing is, if you trust your body and if you intentionally just allow yourself to be in the now and say, you know what, I'm just going to experience this. Like, that's the best thing you can do, because the more you say, oh, but it's scary, it's going to turn out to be scary, because you put something in the universe, it's going to come back to you. And so if you're sitting there saying, this is a terrifying thing, this is a terrifying thing, your mind is not going to get over the fact that you're terrified.
100%. I'm a firm believer in manifestations in any phase of life, whether that's birth, I do manifestations every single day in the door when affirmations saying you're strong. Like, you can do this. I am brave. Like, I am resilient. My last question, if Hayden watches this, what is one thing that you want her to remember from this birth?
Oh, that's going to make me cry. One thing that I want her to remember?
One thing that to remember, or to just know.
To just know that she is so beyond loved by me, by Ty, by everyone around her, that like the second, before she was even here, it was just like everyone loved her, everyone wanted to be with her. And then the second she was born, you changed everyone's life. Genuinely. That's when I Marco Polo'd a family member that I'm really close with. That's the first thing I told her, is she's gonna change your life when you meet her, because oh my gosh. Because she already just has that soul about her that you can just feel that she is gonna change people.
She's perfect.
She's beautiful. So perfect.
She's perfect, and she's just calm.
Yeah.
And she's just the most sweet little being.
Yeah. She's so loved. And I think that's the biggest thing, is no matter where you're at, you are so loved. And I can feel you have just this soul of love. And you're going to change so much in people. You've changed so much in me, and you've been here for 3 weeks. And so...
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap it up, so we don't cry.
Yeah.
For real tears.
We did makeup today.
We did a little makeup. As we wrap it up, we just want to say thank you for watching our first episode. We cannot wait to dive into more. We have some exciting things planned, and we also want you guys to be able to interact. So comment on what you guys want to see, what you want us to talk about. Go follow us on socials, Dash of Pink Podcast, and you can find us on any
podcasting platform, as far as I'm aware right now.
This is a trial.
Yes.
Give us grace here. This is crazy. Go for it.
Well, thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. We love you. Always remember that
you are worth it. Love you. Bye.